What's up, folks? I just wanted to record this video on what happens to be Thanksgiving, and not really big into the holidays, but a lot of times around this time of year, most people are with their families, enjoying each other, and to me, that's more of what it's about. Um, Being a history buff and looking at the history of Thanksgiving and its origins kind of turns me off from it in that sense, you know. Um, and that's a history lesson you can research for yourself. But ultimately, that part doesn't appeal to me. But one thing I would say though, is I was watching this show, golly, with these guys that do home improvement on HGTV, and they were talking to the couple that had just gotten a settlement, like I think it was some type of inheritance, and they were going to move out of their house, and then the guys that do the show, they were talking to the couple, and they said they asked their grandchildren, do you want us to move? We're thinking about moving. They're like, no, we don't want you to move. We want this house, you know? So long story short, they took the money that they got from the inheritance and put that into renovating and bringing the family home. In this case, what they called it on the show, the forever home. They brought it up to date, with the plumbing and, just making it more user friendly for the grandchildren, the children, and then of course, grandmother and grandfather. And it just took me back to my experience growing up. I'm from Detroit originally, and my grandparents on my dad's side were in Chicago, and they had an apartment on the third floor, right off of what was that, Cottage Grove in Chicago. And long story short, um, they had this big table, and whenever we could all get together, for any type of event, whether it was the holidays or for a wedding. Growing up, that was like, those are some of the happiest memories I've ever had. And it's like, I think they touched on this in the show about how I think the grandchildren said they would be really disappointed if they got rid of the house because there's so many fond memories there. And that's what they looked forward to, when they had a chance to all get together as a family. And it made me just really reflect back, especially in light of the fact that it's Thanksgiving, that my family has been everything to me. Even when I couldn't really articulate it, maybe I knew that my family meant a lot to me. And just one little sidebar: I'm into astrology, and for the most of my life, I've known the 12 signs of the zodiac, and my birthday is August 14th. And in the regular 12 sign zodiac, it says I'm a Leo. And then when I got my Vedic astrology reading and chart done recently, which is the 13 signs, my sign shifted to Cancer, which actually makes sense because in Vedic astrology, it goes from the 17th of the month to the 17th of the month the next month. And I'm saying that to say that I used to always wonder when I started to get into all of these other sciences that are not mainstream, why was family so important to me? Because it's not the Leos don't care about family, but it's actually more of a Cancerian trait, so to speak. So to actually find out that my sign is actually Cancer, it makes a lot more sense in terms of, that wanting to be with my family and to break bread with my family, and how family is so important, and having those memories to share with people that you love and care about is huge. And the part of that story that I always remember as it relates to my grandparents in Chicago, it was some years later, maybe around the time I was about to go to high school or maybe eighth grade or something like that. My mom or my dad told me that, my grandparents were selling the apartment and they were moving somewhere else. And I was crushed. I was like, oh my God, really? What? There's so many amazing memories at that apartment on Evans Street. Now I was on the third floor, and those back steps were scary. I mean, and then at times, me and my little what do I try to say? My cousins, we went through our little rebellious period where we would drop things off of the off of the top floor, which is not cool. But you know how children are when they don't have anything to do, they just do dumb shit. Excuse my language. So uh anyway, when I found out they were selling the apartment, I was crushed. And then the table was gone. You know, that big table that we would sit down and have dinner together or lunch together. My grandmother would be in the kitchen preparing food. And then the apartment had this little, golly, I guess it was like a den in the very back of the apartment. And that's what I think about when I think about Thanksgiving. And just seeing that show tonight just got me present to that again about just how important it is to have, people that you really love and care about to share those experiences with, because it's nice to have the money. It's definitely great to have your health without question. And at the same time, the memories are really what sustains us. You know what I'm saying? To have people that you love and care about, whether it's your extended family, whether it's a community that you have, shout out to all my folks at Landmark Education, and some of the other amazing people I've met through, like T. Harv Eker's Millionaire Mind Weekend intensive, you know, that aren't my blood relatives, and other people I've met at different times in my life that are like family, um, and to actually have your blood family that you can share that with, your brothers and sisters, your cousins, your aunts, your uncles. That's amazing. And one of the things I will say, that even though I didn't have a chance to create what I was hoping to create with my dad before he passed, which, really what my goal was to get, my mom worked for General Motors, was to get one of those big GMC motorhomes and, customize it with all the latest bells and whistles and make it environmentally friendly, maybe half electric, half combustion engine. That's just how I think. And us to just travel the country, that didn't get fulfilled before my dad passed. But nevertheless, I will say, I did have a pretty good relationship with my pops. And as far as my grandmother and grandfather in Chicago, amazing people. My grandmother in Detroit, God, I love that woman. Amazing sense of humor. And so I've been really fortunate. Even my mom's father, I had a chance to know. So I had a chance to meet all my grandparents, and have a pretty good relationship with them. And if I'd had more maturity, I actually would have made more of a demand to spend more time with them. At that, if I had had uh, a more empowering context about myself and about life and things like that when I was growing up, I would have been more of a demand to spend time with them. Nevertheless, just to finish this video, um, listening to them on that show tonight talk about, and then when they completed the rental project and they brought the grandparents in, grandfather was emotional, grandmother was a little emotional, and then they brought the grandchildren and the children in. That was pretty special, you know what I mean? So it's really about the simple things in life and those shared experiences that make all the difference in the world. And as I found as I've gotten older and moved away from Michigan and relocated to Georgia, is that I've had more of an extended family that I didn't have with my immediate family. And what also is there is that at times I feel like I'm missing from what could have been created ongoingly with, my aunts and uncles and cousins. Um, and we just haven't had that level of connectedness. Um, you could possibly say, even going back to when they got rid of the apartment, and of course the big table that we used to sit at and break bread together. And that was many, many years ago. But nevertheless, if you really have the opportunity to spend time with your family at different times throughout the year, not just Thanksgiving, but to really break bread as a family, like people used to do back in the day when families would sit down at the table and eat and really just talk about their day and get related to each other and say, what's going on? How was your day? You had just more of a intimacy that has been lost. And that at times, I remiss if I didn't mention that at times I feel a little sad about that. I'm not depressed. It's just at times I'm like, what can I do to help recreate that in this modern day era where people are in different parts of the country and working all types of crazy hours and you don't really see them as much. How can I help to create that newly from my family, immediate and extended family, if they're interested in that. Because sometimes as people get older, you see the differences in personality, and you start to wonder, well, how did we get along in the first place? you know, and at the same time, what I would also add to that is the common thread is that we're blood, and you know, you find a way. You find a way to take the higher ground and to really enjoy each other in spite of whatever differences that you may have, for just how special those times are and the great laughter that's experienced and, the things that you get a chance to do together. So enjoy your family. And if you have a chance to really have that, that's a part of one of my goals in life is to have like what do the Kennedys have? Like a Kennedy compound is to have like an estate where my family, because to have a big house, the more I look at it, is not that important to me because the upkeep on it is one thing. So you definitely got to have money just for the upkeep. But secondly, if you got a big house, what's the point of having a house that big if you don't have enough people in it? It's just an empty space. So, eventually, to have success in business, that would be one of my goals is to have a nice family compound where we can really come together 2 or 3 times a year, 4 times a year, whatever that is, and just really enjoy each other. Have the pool and the jacuzzi and the tree house and, fresh food and, just be as off the grid with the best amenities possible and just get connected to nature again and connected to each other because, again, having a success is great. Having the money is great. And for me, the only thing that's helped to keep me going at times over the course of my life and, going through some really tough times has been the thought of my family and what would it be like if my family was around and, what would so and so do if they were dealing with this or whatever. So, whatever it takes to get you through, ideally have it be something that's not harming anybody, right? Uh, Hold on to that, you know, pull everything you can from that to keep you committed to making a difference in the world in whatever way you want to make a difference. And for me, it's been my family, more so than even I thought for quite some time. So take care of yourself, whether you celebrate Thanksgiving or not, doesn't matter to me. But enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, the people that really get you, and really take the time to savor the little things because it really is that. So take care of yourself and enjoy your people, whoever your people may be. Be well.